Imagine you're sitting in a coffee shop. You reach into your pocket and your heart drops. Your phone is gone. You left it on a train. Panic sets in immediately. But what exactly are you panicking about? Are you terrified of losing a small rectangular piece of glass and metal that costs a few $100s or less to replace? Are you panicking because that piece of metal holds your photos, private messages, calendars? The fact that a tangible, irreplaceable piece of your life is gone, and you may never be able to find it back. If a phone manufacturer looks at your phone, they'll say it's an object with certain financial value. But for you, it's not just a phone. It is your phone. You choose its color, you choose the phone case, and you also choose the wallpaper displayed. When you look at your phone, you see an extension of yourself. There is an intriguing question about human experience that I'd like to address today. What is the meaning of possession? What does it truly mean to possess something? At a first glance, the answer seems pretty simple. You have it, you possess it. But if we dig a little deeper, we'll notice that possession actually has two meanings. One is about physical direct control, in which you can possess an object with or without legal ownership to it. And the other hides in human psychology. So let's start with the first meaning. We often use the words possession and ownership interchangeably in our daily conversation. But from the legal perspective, there are two distinct concepts. Ownership is a legal right guaranteed by the legal system, while possession is a physical reality based on control or dominion. And you can observe the subtle difference between these two concepts in your daily life. Think about renting an apartment. The landlord holds that property because they hold the actual titles to it. But you possess that apartment. You hold the keys. You control who comes in and out of that space. And the law protects your rights in doing so. In law, there are two forms of possession. The first is actual possession, in which you have physical direct custody over an item, like the device currently in your hand or your backpack. If you get it through legitimate ways like purchasing, you would own and possess that device. But if it was borrowed from one of your friends, you would only possess that device. You should not claim ownership over it. The second is constructive possession. This usually occurs when you have an authority over an object without touching it. If you hold the keys to a locker, you constructively possess everything inside it, because you control the access. To understand how much weight the law places on physical control over mere ownership, look at the doctrine of adverse possession. If a person openly occupies a piece of abandoned land for a certain amount of time, they can actually claim legal titles to it, even if a completely different person holds the original deed. The law eventually decides that the person exercising consistent physical control over a property possesses it more legitimately than the person who did nothing but just had their names registered on a document. In the legal realm, action dictates possession. It is objective, measurable, and entirely detached from emotions. But humans are not purely objective creatures, because if we were that objective, why we would need to remind ourselves to be objective all the time? It failed to explain why some of us would keep boxes of worthless ticket stubs in our bedroom. It doesn't make sense to claim humans as purely objective creatures. And these questions bring us to the second meaning of possession, the psychological one. While the law views possession through the lens of utility and control, psychologists and behavioral researchers paint a much more complex image. According to the American Psychological Association, our belongings serve as direct extensions of our identity, of ourselves. Through the psychological lens, possession serves two vital functions. The first is self-representation.
We use our possessions to communicate ourselves to the outside world, and even more importantly, to remind ourselves of who we are. The books we display on our shelves, the clothes we wear, the music we listen to and recommend to our peers, the little cute stuff that we put on our backpack, they're not just random, meaningless objects. They're the vocabulary we use to describe ourselves to others, to tell our own stories. They anchor our personal values and milestones. The second is sentimental value. One thing special about humans is that we put heavy emotional weight on inanimate objects. We tether items to our memories, to significant relationships, to life-altering events. And psychologists study this through endowment effect. It is a cognitive bias stating that people are more likely to value something simply because they own them. We are that type of creatures who tether items into our memories. So we have these two parallel lines of possessions. One is physical, which is built on control, and the other is psychological, which is built on identity. And the true meaning of possession hides in the area between these two lines. But what happens when they collide? We can see the result of this collision clearly when we lose our suitcase. To the airline, your lost suitcase is a simple liability. They want to solve it, so they may write you a check based on the depreciated value of your suitcase itself and the clothes inside. Let's say they give you for about $500. To the airline, this corporation, property was lost. Property was compensated. Boom. Problem is solved. But to you, that feels entirely different. You didn't just lose a $500 worth of fabric and plastic. You lose your favorite jacket you wore on your graduation trip. You lose your notebooks where you jot down your ideas in the past several years. The system offers a flat check in order to replace assets, but it cannot make up the feeling of losing something. And that is why conflict arises, because the law treats possession as simple objects separated from human minds, but human minds will treat possessions as integrated into the self. Ultimately, this duality of possession defines our relationship with the material world. We are creatures that build systems of law to manage who gets to control what. We draw lines, we write down rules, we sign leases, we hold the keys. But we're also creatures with intense emotions and memories. We are that type of creature that will breathe our life into fabric, metal, paper, to things that seem to be meaningless. We'll convert objects into our stories. What is the meaning of possession? This is the question I bring up earlier. And I think now I find the answers. The meaning of possession is keeping others away from it. It's holding it in your hands. But above all of these meanings, the most significant meaning of possession is that allowing that piece of object to hold a piece of you in return. Well, one side of possession is about what we choose to control. The other is about what we choose to cherish. Thank you for listening.